Joint Base San Antonio Randolph, lush and green. In fact, it's called Tree City, USA. But this small base has a big problem because of the trees.
Some people call me the Birdman. Yep, they sure do.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, it's okay. I've been called worse.
Birdman Mike Pacheco is actually a U.S. Department of Agriculture employee hired by Randolph to keep the flight line as bird-free as possible. With all the foliage making up Tree City, USA, it's a huge task. He utilizes passive and active methods as part of an integrated wildlife management program. One passive measure simply involves riding in his truck with speakers that blast sounds of various predatory birds, like falcons and hawks, as well as the sounds of birds in distress. In theory, the sounds will scare the birds away. That's not always the case, though. In fact, even the roar of jet engines screaming down the runway doesn't seem to faze some of the birds. Besides the bird noises that blare from Mike's truck, he has another bird-scaring technique: pyrotechnics. Banger guns, cannon fire. Sometimes they keep the birds away, and sometimes they don't.
The last thing I need is for this bird to get in one of the engines or cause an event that's going to be a safety hazard.
That has happened before on Randolph.
A little bit in the summertime, watching for birds.
In January, a bird flew into a T-38 engine during takeoff. The price tag to get that aircraft up and running again? Nearly $250,000. Thankfully, no one was hurt in that incident. Another bird strike in mid-September didn't take out an engine, but it still cost thousands of dollars to repair.
I was taken off on a formation takeoff, and just after lifting off the ground, I was a couple hundred feet above the ground. I looked forward as I directed my attention away from the other aircraft I was flying off of and saw some black streaks, and then heard some loud bangs as some birds impacted the front windscreen of this jet here. There was about a flock of 50 birds that I ended up flying through, and thankfully that's all that impacted the airplane. After I landed and after maintenance took a look at the airplane, they have to replace the front windscreen to this airplane. It's going to be close to $40,000 of damage.
After a bird strike, Mike or someone else from the safety office will respond to take feathers, blood samples, or any bird remains, and sends the samples to the Smithsonian Institute. There, the remains, or DNA, are analyzed to identify the kind of bird it was. Mike uses that information to help him do his job.
50% of our most damaging strikes come from white-winged dove, and the only way we know that is because of the DNA information we're getting from the Smithsonian.
Mike doesn't need the Smithsonian to tell him where the birds are coming from, though. You can see them roosting in the base housing and golf course areas, then fly to the end of the runway en route to their feeding grounds. To help with habitat management, Randolph is in the process of trimming back trees in the base housing area. Trimming the limbs keeps the branches from overlapping, which provides a canopy that birds like for nesting and roosting. The hope is the birds will want to find a new home, one that keeps their flight path away from the jet's flight path.
When you want to run a program like this, you have to do a lot of different things. It can't be just one thing. It can't just be pyrotechnics. It's got to be habitat management. It has to be population management. It has to be, everybody has to work together in that. And sometimes getting that to happen can be difficult.
Randolph's Birdman, saving aircraft one bird at a time. Deb Decker, Joint Base San Antonio Randolph, Public Affairs.